Test 3 review. Okay, since we have x and that's not part of the derivative of the exponent, we're going to use integration by parts. U is the thing that gets easier. dv is the rest. Now, take the derivative to get du. I should say du. Integrate to get v. dv means the derivative. The integral of e to the x is e to the x. Okay, now the formula is u times v minus the integral of v times du. The integral of e to the x is e to the x. Okay, this is going to be integration by parts also. Now, 5x would get easier if we took the derivative, but we can't integrate ln. So ln has to be u. And the 5x dx is du. Okay, the 5x dx is dv. The derivative of ln of x is 1 over x. Integrate 5x to get v. Be 5x squared over 2. Okay, now we do u times v. Minus the integral of v times du. Going to do a little algebra and move this 5 over 2 outside. X squared over x is x. The integral of x is x squared over 2. And the 2's multiply on the bottom. Okay, number 3, we have our powers. Okay, since we have one even and one odd, we're going to split the sign up since it's odd. So, sign cubed is going to become squared times another. Sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. Okay, we're going to let u equal cosine of 2x. du would be negative 2 sine 2x. Okay, so that means I'm going to multiply in a negative 2. Negative 1/2 on the outside. Okay. We'll just rewrite everything. Okay, so now the cosine squared, I'm just going to rewrite everything when we go to the next page. So I've got negative 1/2 integral negative 2 cosine squared 1 minus cosine squared sine 2x. Okay, u equals cosine 2x. du is negative 2 sine 2x. Negative 2 sine 2x is all du. This is u squared. Okay, the cosine of 2x is u, so that's u squared. 1 minus cosine squared is 1 minus u squared. Distribute the u squared. Okay, now we can integrate. U to the third over 3, u to the fifth over 5. We need to take it back to cosine. So this is cosine cubed of 2x over 3 minus cosine to the fifth of 2x over 5 from 0 to pi over 2. Okay, so we plug in pi over 2 first. So we've got cosine cubed of 2x is pi over 2 over 3 minus cosine to the fifth times 2x is pi over 2 over 5 minus. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 2 times 0 here is 0. Okay, it's 2x, but we're plugging in 0 as our second limit. So the cosine of 2 times 0 is cosine of 0. Okay, here's 0 and 2 pi. Those are the same thing. The coordinates 1, 0. So this is negative 1/2. This is pi over 2. Sorry, we don't have pi over 4. We have pi over 2. So this is cosine cubed. 2 times pi over 2 is pi. 2 times pi over 2 is pi. Okay. The cosine of 0 is 1. So this is 1/3. And this is 1/5. Okay. Here's pi, and its coordinates negative 1, 0. So the cosine at pi is negative 1. Negative 1 cubed is negative 1. Minus cosine of pi is negative 1. Raised to the fifth power is negative 1. I'm going to distribute the negative in front of the second parentheses. So this is negative 1/2. Negative 1/3 plus 1/5 minus 1/3 plus 1/5 is negative 1/2. Okay, now I'm doing this by hand. You can use your calculator. Negative 1/3 is negative 2/3. 1/5 plus 1/5 is 2/5. Okay, a common denominator would be 15. So this would be negative 10/15 plus 6/15. Oops, sorry, that's not 1/3 right here. Okay, so that's negative 4/15. So that comes out to 2/15. Okay, number 4. Okay, when we have squared plus a number, that's when we use tangent. Okay, so since a squared is 64, that means a is 8. So our substitution is x equals 8 tan theta. X squared is 64 tan squared theta. And dx would be 8 secant squared theta d theta. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the 72 out. Put dx on top. Put x squared. Put x squared again. And the 64. Factor out the 64 they have in common. Tan squared of theta plus 1 is secant squared. Okay, I'm just going to rewrite that. Okay, now I'm going to take the square root of 64 secant squared, which would be 8 secant theta. Okay, I keep forgetting my d thetas. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to divide this 8 divided by this 8. And I'm also going to take this 64 outside. So 72 over 64. Now, I've got a secant squared divided by a secant would leave secant theta d theta. Let me rewrite that. I didn't mean to still be using red. Okay, so secant squared divided by secant. And I've got divided by the tangent squared. I'm going to rewrite that is secant of theta times cotangent of theta, because cotangent's 1 over the tangent. Okay, I'm going to write secant as 1 over the cosine. I'm going to write cotangent as cosine over sine. So this is cosine squared over sine squared. D theta. Okay, one of these cosines divides out, so I would still have a cosine of theta on top, sine squared of theta on bottom. So notice how cosine's the derivative of sine. So if u is sine of theta, du is cosine of theta, d theta. Let me rewrite that. I've got cosine theta d theta over sine squared of theta. So if u is the sine, du is the cosine, so now du can go in the place of cosine. Sine is u, so it's u squared. So this is u to the negative 2 du, which we can add 1 and divide by it. Okay, 72 over 64 reduces to 9 over 8. I should have done that a while ago. Now I've got, sorry, I already integrated. Okay, so I've got negative 1 over u, which is negative 9 over 8 sine theta, which is negative 8, or sine of theta, 1 over the sine is the cosecant. Okay, if we go back to see what u was, or x equals 8 tan theta. So x divided by 8 is the tangent of theta. Okay, here's our right angle. If this is theta, the tan is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so this is opposite, this is adjacent. So we need to find the hypotenuse, C. We know that x squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. 8 squared is 64. We're trying to find out what that is, what the hypotenuse is. So the hypotenuse is the square root of that. So this is x squared plus 64. Okay. Now let's go back. This is our integral, but we need to change it back to x. So negative 9 over 8 cosecant of theta cosecant is the flip of the sign, so it's hypotenuse over opposite. So this is negative 9 over 8. The hypotenuse is x squared plus 64, and the opposite is x. plus C. Okay, a volume between x equals -1, x equals 6. Okay, y equals x plus 1 would start at 0, 1 and have a slope of up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Didn't quite go far enough. It would end at the point 6, 7. Okay. So it would come down to this point, -1. So we're integrating, or we're finding the volume of that right here. Okay, if we're rotating about the x-axis, right, this way, this is our radius. Okay, these are our radius. And the height, okay, remember volume's pi r squared. So our radius is the height, which is y, and y is x plus 1. Okay, the height is x. So pi from -1 to 6 of x plus 1 squared, and the height is dx. Square that out, FOIL that out, we'd get x squared plus 2x plus 1, which is x to the 3rd over 3 plus x squared plus x from -1 to 6. Plug in 6. 6 cubed is 216. 6 squared is 36. Plus 6 minus. Okay, -1 cubed is -1. -1 squared is 1. And x, plug in -1. Distribute the negative. Okay, and remember it's times pi. Okay, so that comes out to 343 over 3 pi. Okay, we don't have the derivative on top, so we can't use ln. We don't have an x. We can't split up that top, so we're going to use the partial fractions. Which means we need to factor the bottom. So we're going to say that 7x minus 23 over x minus 8x plus 3 is something over x minus 8 plus something over x plus 3. Okay. To get the common denominator, we just can multiply the two denominators, which means A needs an x plus 3. Let me not use shortcuts. Let me do it right, okay? So we have A over x minus 8 plus B over x plus 3. Our common denominator would be the two of them multiplied. Okay, so on the left, it needs x plus 3 multiplied in. On the right, it already had plus 3, so it needs x minus 8 multiplied in. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that A times the x plus 3 and distribute that B. Sorry, I don't know what I just did. There we go. Distribute that B times the x minus 8. Okay. So, now that the tops are equal, that means the top left has to equal the top right. So this equals AX plus 3A plus BX minus 8B over that denominator. Okay, so if the tops are equal, the bottoms have to be equal. Okay, let's get our x's together. So 7x has to equal ax plus bx. So that means 7 has to equal a plus b. So b is a minus 7. Sorry, 7 minus a. Subtract a on both sides. B equals 7 minus a. Okay, now let's look at the numbers. Negative 23 has to equal 3a minus 8b. Negative 23 has to equal 3a minus 8b. Well, we know b is 7 minus a. Distribute. Combine the like terms. 3a plus 8a. Solve for a. So we get 33 equals 11a. So a equals 33 divided by 11. So that means b equals 7 minus 3, which is 4. Okay, so now that integral is, we can go back and say it's a over x minus 8 plus b over x plus 3. 3 over x minus 8 plus 4 over x plus 3. Okay, for each of those, okay, if we ignore the 3 and the 4, think about we have 1 over x minus a and 1 over x plus 3. So we have du over u, which is ln. So this is 3 ln x minus 8 plus 4 ln x plus 3. factor the bottom. Take out an x. That's x plus 2 squared. Okay. So we're going to have to use the a over x, b over 1x plus 2, and c over x plus 2 squared. So the common denominator would be x times x plus 2 squared. So whatever's missing, you have to times in. So that means this needs the a is missing what? X plus 2 squared. What is b missing? B is missing x times just an x plus 2 because it's already got 1. Okay. What is c missing? C is missing the x because it's got the x plus 2. Okay, multiply. This is x squared plus 4x plus 4. Distribute bx. Okay. Distribute the a. Okay, so remember the original thing was 9x plus 20. Okay. So, since there's no squares, what do we know? There's no squares in 9x plus 20. We know a plus b equals 0. Okay, where are x's? 4ax, 2bx, cx. So 4ax plus 2bx plus cx equals to 9x. So 4a plus 2b plus c equals 9. Okay, we know that b is negative a. Okay, let's rewrite that. Minus 4a minus 2 times a, so minus 2a. That was not a negative right here. This should be 4a. 4a minus 2a plus c equals 9. 4a minus 2a is 2a. Okay, now let's go back to what we had for the numbers. Okay, what do we have for numbers? Well, this is the only thing that's a number. That 4a equals 20. So we know that 4a equals 20, a equals 5. That tells us b is negative 5. Plug 5 in for a. So that tells us that c is negative 1, which gives us 5 over x minus 5 over x plus 2. minus 1 over x plus 2 squared dx. Okay. The x and the x plus 2 are in the form du over u. So this is 5 ln x minus 5 ln x plus 2. The negative 1 over x plus 2 is in the form negative 1 u to the negative 2. So that would be negative 1 u to the negative 1 over negative 1. The negatives divide out, so this would be plus 1 over x plus 2, because it's u to the negative 1, plus c. Okay. Now, since we have this subtraction, we can say that this is ln of this divided by this. So this is 5 ln of x divided by x plus 2. Okay, because we're using the rule that ln of a over b is ln of a minus ln of b. And that's the end of the review.